Imagine stepping out your front door one crisp morning, coffee in hand, only to see bulldozers chewing up your fence like it's yesterday's trash, and a smug HOA board president waving a clipboard like a royal scepter, declaring your private land community property, without so much as a howdy. Your heart drops as workers ignore your shouts, engines drowning out reason, while the so-called guardians of neighborhood harmony smirk from afar, plotting their little empire on soil you sweated blood to own. But what if I told you this wasn't just a land grab, it was the start of a farce so ridiculous, so drenched in hypocrisy, that by the end, the tyrants would be begging for mercy from the very rules they twisted. It all started in Willow Creek Estates, a slice of suburban America where the houses lined up like obedient soldiers, lawns manicured to within an inch of their lives, and the air hummed with the faint buzz of nosy neighbors enforcing standards. I'd bought my 2.5-acre plot years before the subdivision sprouted up like weeds after a rainstorm. Back then, it was just rolling grass, a few old oaks, and the kind of quiet that lets you hear your own thoughts. I'm Jack Harlan, a freelance landscaper by trade. Ironic, right? The guy who shapes other people's yards for a living, fighting to keep his own from being reshaped by busybodies. I'd poured my savings into this land, dreaming of turning it into my haven. A greenhouse for rare plants, a workshop for custom designs, maybe even a pond where I could fish on lazy afternoons. No HOA back then. No covenants chaining me to paint colors or mailbox heights. Freedom pure and simple, or so I thought. The trouble crept in slow, like fog rolling over the hills. First came the new neighbors, friendly at the outset, with their welcome casseroles and invitations to barbecues I politely declined. We're all in this together, they'd say, but I caught the undertone. Like my independence was a glitch in their perfect matrix. Then the HOA formed, a self-appointed council promising unity and order. Leading the pack was Marge Kensington, the president, a woman in her 50s with a perm so tight it matched her grip on power. On the surface, she was all pearls and polite smiles, quoting community bylaws like scripture. It's about maintaining values, dear, she'd coo at meetings, but her eyes gleamed with the hunger of someone who mistook a volunteer gig for a dictatorship. Her sidekicks weren't much better. Victor, the vice president, a retired accountant with a mustache that screamed, "I audit your soul." Lena, the secretary, who whispered scandals like they were gospel. And Harold, the enforcement officer, a burly ex-cop who treated fence lines like crime scenes. I stayed out of it. My deed predated their charter. I was exempt, a free agent in their controlled world. But Marge didn't like loose ends. One evening, as I was pruning my hedges, again irony, she sauntered up to my gate, clipboard in tow. "Jack, honey, have you considered joining us? Your property could really enhance our green space initiative." Her voice was sugar-coated, but the implication stung. My land was wasted without her stamp. I chuckled softly. "Appreciate the offer, Marge, but I'm good. This is my slice. No need for committees." She tilted her head, that fake concern creasing her brow. "Well, isolation isn't healthy for property values. We're all connected here." Connected? It was code for submit or suffer. I waved her off, but as she walked away, her heels clicking like ticking bombs, I felt the first chill. Little did I know, she'd already started mapping my backyard as her next conquest. The whispers started small, like seeds planted in fertile gossip soil. I'd catch snippets at the local diner, folks murmuring about how my undeveloped lot was blocking a proposed community path. "It's practically public anyway," one said, sipping coffee. "Connects the cul-de-sacs." Public? My ass. I double-checked my surveys. Crystal clear boundaries. But Marge was a master at bending truth. She hosted town halls, where she'd project slides of future visions, her pointer lingering on my property like a threat. "Imagine a walking trail here," she'd enthuse, "fostering togetherness." The crowd nodded, lulled by her moral high ground. Meanwhile, I'd find anonymous notes in my mailbox. "Trim your weeds. Eyesore alert." Weeds? My wildflowers were deliberate, but to the HOA anything not cookie-cutter was chaos. One afternoon, I came home to find Victor lurking near my fence, tape measure extended like a weapon. "Just checking setbacks," he muttered. avoiding my gaze. For safety. Safety from what? My thriving tomato patch? I stepped closer, voice steady. Victor, this is my land. Step back. He retracted the tape with a snap, but his smirk said it all. We'll see. That night, over a beer on my porch, I pulled out my old deed folder. Every map, every title search, I documented like a hawk. Rumors be damned. I wasn't biting yet, but the pressure built, subtle as a noose tightening. Cars idled longer outside my drive. Kids pointed, echoing parental lies. That's gonna be our playground. Playground? Over my dead body. Marge's machine was revving, and I was the roadblock she aimed to bulldoze. It escalated when the violations hit like confetti from hell. First letter taped to my door. Non-compliant landscaping visible from common areas. Rectify immediately or face fines. Fines? I wasn't even a member. I tossed it, but they multiplied. Slipped under my wiper, stuffed in my fence slats. Obstructing community flow. One read. Flow of what? Their egos. I ignored them, focusing on my greenhouse build, but Marge upped the ante. Drones buzzed overhead, whirring like mechanical spies. One hovered so low I could see the camera lens glint. HOA aerial survey. Harold yelled from across the street when I waved it off. Survey my privacy? Hell no. Then the trespassers came, bold as brass. Landscapers accidentally mowed 2 feet into my yard, leaving clippings like territorial markers. Board said clean the line. One grunted when I confronted him. Clean? It was erasure. Neighbors started cutting through my driveway, treating it like a shortcut. It's open space, right? A jogger quipped, dodging my glare. Open to lawsuits, maybe. Marge orchestrated it all, her board meetings turning into echo chambers. I'd overhear bits from my window. That Harlan fellow's hoarding land like a miser. For the greater good, we must act. Greater good? Their good meant a fancy pavilion on my acreage, funded by dues they skimmed like cream. The propaganda peaked with their newsletter, glossy poison delivered to every door, including mine. Exciting expansion. Uniting our community through shared spaces. Inside, a doctored map shaded my lot as proposed amenity zone. My blood boiled. Shared? They'd photoshopped the boundaries. At the next open forum, Marge stood podium proud, pearl necklace gleaming. This initiative will boost our values tenfold, she preached. A resident asked about my consent. She waved it off. It's about progress. Some folks resist change, but we're here for everyone. Everyone except me. I sat in the back, silent, noting every word, every face. They painted me as the villain, the greedy holdout blocking paradise. Whispers followed. Jack's just stubborn. Thinks he's above us. Stubborn? Try rightful owner. But the real gut punch was the social sabotage. Lena, the whisper queen, spread tales like wildfire. At the grocery store, a cashier eyed me funny. Heard you're fighting the trail. Why hoard all that space? Hoard? It was mine. Parents steered kids away, like my yard was contaminated. One evening, Harold pounded on my door. We've had complaints about your clutter tools everywhere. Tools for my work neatly stored. Not your jurisdiction, I shot back. He puffed up. Everything affects aesthetics. Fix it or we'll escalate. Escalate to what? Their imaginary court. I endured, documenting obsessively. Photos of footprints, drone timestamps, letter scans. Inside, rage simmered, but outwardly I was ice. They wanted me to snap, give them ammo. Instead, I researched HOA laws, easement myths, public records. Marge's fear of losing control made her sloppy. Victor's audits showed relocated funds. Code for embezzlement. Lena's emails leaked hints of smear campaigns. Harold's enforcements bordered on harassment. I bided time, letting their absurdity pile up like unpaid fines. The invasion hit full throttle one sweltering Saturday. I woke to the roar of engines. Construction crews swarming my fence, chainsaws buzzing, posts toppling like dominoes. Public access now, a foreman barked, pointing to my greenhouse plot. Public? My pulse thundered. There stood Marge under a tent, sunglasses perched, directing like a deranged conductor. Tear it down. It's for the pavilion, she trilled. Workers hesitated when I stormed out. This is private property. Stop. But Marge waved her clipboard. The board deems it communal. Move aside, Jack, or we'll call authorities. Authorities? The irony burned. I didn't yell yet. Instead, I snapped photos. The destruction, her smug grin, the fake permits she flashed. You sure about this, Marge? My surveys say otherwise. She laughed, a brittle cackle. Surveys can be reinterpreted. For order's sake. Order? This was theft wrapped in bureaucracy. Neighbors gathered, murmuring. Some cheered her on. Finally progress. Others shifted uneasily. As bulldozers gouged my soil, I dialed my lawyer, voice low. They've crossed the line, literally. The crew poured concrete footings on my land. Marge beaming like she'd won the lottery. See? Unity in action. But unity cracked fast. I presented my evidence at an emergency county meeting, projector beaming their doctored maps against mine. Illegal trespass, fraud, misuse of funds, I stated calmly. Gasps rippled. Marge interrupted, voice shrill. He's obstructing community welfare. Welfare? Her pavilion was a vanity project, siphoning dues for her legacy. Leaked emails surfaced, Victor's creative accounting, funneling $35,000 to unapproved contractors. Lena's messages, spread the word. Harlan's land is abandoned. Harold's logs, drone flights over my bedroom window. The crowd turned. A mom stood. You said it was legal. Marge stammered. It enhances values. Values? Laughter bubbled, dark, furious. Victor tried fleeing. Residents blocked him. Explain the missing money, he blubbered. Temporary reallocations. Embezzlement more like. Lena's tears flowed. I was just following orders. Orders to slander? Harold puffed. Enforcing standards. Standards that broke laws? Resignations cascaded like a house of cards. Marge first, red-faced. For the good of all. Good? The sheriff red-tagged their site, fining thousands for zoning violations. County auditors descended, exposing the rot. Padded budgets, fake votes, coercion. Marge's moral high ground crumbled as her neighbors jeered. You preached unity while stealing, one yelled. She shrank, pearls clutching like a lifeline, her empire exposed as a farce. The fallout was poetic justice, served with a side of schadenfreude. County crews jackhammered their illegal footings at HOA expense, invoices stacking like accusations. Marge's ban from boards hit hard. 10 years. Her power addiction cut cold turkey. She slunk indoors, blinds drawn. While whispers followed. Karen got Karen'd. Victor faced charges for fraud, his mustache wilting in court. Lena's social circle evaporated. No more carpools for the rumor mill. Harold, the enforcer, got slapped with harassment suits, his badge fantasies shattered. Neighbors apologized piecemeal. The jogger who trespassed brought beer. We bought the lies. Sorry, man. The mom offered plants for my ravaged yard. You were right all along. Emergency elections birthed a new board. Transparent, term-limited, no egos allowed. They approached me hat in hand. How can we fix this? I suggested. Respect boundaries. Simple. My land healed slow. Fresh sod covered scars. New fence rose steel strong. Markers cemented eternally. I built my greenhouse, glass panes catching sun like victory flags. Mornings now. Coffee amid blooms, no drones, no glares. The neighborhood breathed easier. Shadows of tyranny lifted. Kids played freely, cars waved hello. Respect bloomed where control once choked. Standing in my workshop, tools humming, I reflected. This wasn't just about dirt. It was entitlement's ugly face. Folks cloaking greed in community. Marge's machine morality, Victor's number fudging, all collapsed under their weight. Strength? The quiet vigilance, sharp evidence, patient strikes. I didn't seek revenge. Truth did the dirty work. And damn, watching hypocrites hoist by their petards? Priceless. But here's the kicker. Was Marge truly the villain? Or just a product of a system that rewards busybodies with power? True or false? HOAs breed more Karens than they curb? Drop your take below. Let's debate who really owns community.